What's poppin', everyone? My name is Tristanjrespress, and this is Talking with Tristan. Today we're going to be talking about something I struggle with every day, and it's called Palmer Hyperhidrosis. Just for full transparency here, I self-diagnosed myself on this. I just never resonated with something so much. So let's get right into what is Palmer Hyperhidrosis. Pretty much just think of excessive sweating of the palms. So yes, sweaty hands. Ever since I was a kid, I was dealing with sweaty hands. And if you could imagine going through life with sweaty hands, it sucks. Like, who wants to touch a sweaty hand? Do you like touching sweaty hands? I can't talk on it because my hands are sweaty. So I'm going to share some of my everyday struggles with Palmer Hyperhidrosis. You know those moments when you're going for a handshake and you don't know if the other person's going to give you a handshake, fist bump, hand hug, and then you guys end up doing like some weird butterfly motion? Yeah, that's me. This awkwardness happens to me all the time. And it's all because I have sweaty hands. What happens in these moments is I'm so in my head because I have sweaty hands that I don't want the other person to touch my sweaty hands because it'll probably put the other person off. Like in the moment, I'm thinking, man, this person probably doesn't want to touch my hand because it's sweaty. So I do everything in my power to avoid that contact. And if I don't start it right, like usually I'll make eye contact with the person and I'll start with the fist bump motion. But if I don't have the opportunity beforehand, our handshakes are going to be like wet noodles. And going through most of my life, I thought this was just normal. It's the only thing I knew. I thought everybody had sweaty hands. But that's not necessarily the case because when I was going through life, I started to realize that not everybody has sweaty hands. After I would do a handshake, I would see a lot of people wiping their hands on their pants. And I knew that was because of me. And seeing that honestly hurts, but I can't blame them. Another thing I deal with is also writing with pen and paper or pencil and paper. Just writing in general. Sometimes my hands will just start to get super sweaty and the page will start to get wet. And I start to smear the ink or the pencil all over the page. So it sucks to write. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll grab a paper towel and I'll put it under my hand just so I have something in between the paper and my hand. And also the paper towel dries my hand as well. That's how I usually avoid this. I just don't want to mess up what I'm writing. One thing that was really killer on my confidence with this Palmer Hyperhidrosis is holding hands with somebody. I absolutely love touch as a love language. It's just one of my favorites. And with that comes hand holding, and I absolutely love hand holding. But with Palmer Hyperhidrosis, I definitely face a lot of roadblocks. Think about it. You're with the person that you really like and you really want to hold their hand, but at the same time, your hand's going to be really sweaty and you don't want to make their hand sweaty because it will probably be a little off-putting to them. But at the same time, you have this thing that you can't really avoid, so it's always going to be there. So I would find myself in situations like this, and when I got the courage to actually bring it up to my partner, I found out everything was okay. Typically, they didn't really care, but at the same time, I still get in my head because I don't want my partner touching sweaty hands all the time. And yeah, I live over in Austin, Texas, and the weather here is so freaking crazy. It's generally hot. So it's hard to catch a break with sweaty hands, and if you're thinking about the winter time, my hands still do get sweaty. And if they're not sweaty, they're super cold. It's like I don't get an in-between. They're either super hot or super cold. And when I try to touch something or hold my partner's hands when my hands aren't sweaty, but it's super cold, my hands are just super cold. I can't wait for the day to where I'm able to shake somebody's hand without worrying about having sweaty hands because it's just a lot of anxiety for me. And it sucks shaking somebody's hand and seeing them wipe their hand afterwards. I start to think, what are they thinking about? Last December, I picked up crocheting and I faced a lot of obstacles with my Palmer Hyperhidrosis. My sweat literally goes into these projects. And I know that can sound kind of gross, but it's something that I can't stop. Like my sweat will go down to these projects and it'll actually start to fray the yarn. And it sucks because when I'm working on a project and my hands get sweaty, sometimes the hook starts to slip through my hand. And what I'll do is I'll wrap KT tape around the hook just so I can have some more friction. Also, my partner Zoe and I, we just started an Instagram account called This Couple Crochets where we post our crochet projects, and we also have free patterns on our blog, and we also have paid patterns on Etsy. So if you're interested in crocheting, go check that out. Also, when longboarding, when I'm trying to do a grab trick, I pop up the board and I try to grab the board, but my hand's so slippery so the board just slips right out of my hand and just the trick just never happened. Those moments suck too. Oh, another thing that sucks too is when you're trying to open stuff, your grip is just terrible. Let's use like a jar of pickles for an example. Sometimes I can get the jar of pickles open. Other times my hand is just super sweaty and I'm trying to open that thing and it's just like slip, slip, slip. And it's just like, damn, I can't get a grip. So what I'll do is I'll grab my shirt and try to make my hand as dry as possible, and I'll also use my shirt to gain a little bit of traction to open the jar. Another moment where I struggle with Palmer Hyperhidrosis is when I'm playing video games. I'm over there in a room with my friends, we're chilling, we're having a great time playing some video games, you know, Call of Duty, popping some headshots, or FIFA, scoring some golazos. And once I'm done with the game session, I end up handing the controller to my bro. And then I will get called out for having the controller all sweaty. If you can imagine, those moments make me really sad because there is nothing that I can do. But one way I do work around this is after a game session, I'll get the controller and I'll wipe it all down with my shirt. And I'm going to be straight with you guys, sometimes it's a puddle on that controller. So those are some of my everyday struggles with Palmer hyperhidrosis. Palmer hyperhidrosis can be a bit embarrassing, and it can also take a toll on your overall confidence. The reason I'm making this podcast episode is to build awareness around Palmer hyperhidrosis, because studies show that only 1 to 3% of people actually have Palmer hyperhidrosis out there. But at the same time, there's people out there that don't get it diagnosed because it's embarrassing, or they don't have the tools to do so. There's only one other person in my life that I have met that has Palmer hyperhidrosis, and when we connected over this subject, it made me feel like I wasn't so alone in this world. At the same time, I never really talked about Palmer hyperhidrosis, so there could be other people around me that also have Palmer hyperhidrosis. But during the making of this episode, I'm starting to realize that I should probably just talk about it more. I should bring it up more so I can connect with other people and I can build more awareness around what's happening. So if you resonate with anything I said, take a look into Palmer hyperhidrosis. If you didn't resonate with anything I said, please know that there's people out there that have sweaty palms and they can't do anything about it. Just show those people some grace, because those people are probably out there doing the best they can. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to my 5th podcast episode. It really means a lot to me. If you guys like this podcast episode, please rate it, share it with a friend, take a screenshot, post it on your Instagram story, share it out there, tag me in it, and I'll repost you. But besides that, y'all have a wonderful day. Hasta la pasta. Cue the outro.